The border system was calm, bright, and rich with life. A blue-green planet floated below, covered in cities and oceans. Around it waited one of the largest alien fleets ever gathered. Hundreds of warships formed perfect lines in space, their weapons charged, their shields glowing with confidence. Today was meant to be simple. A show of power. A lesson for humanity. The alien commanders watched their screens with relaxed smiles. Humans had crossed a border they were warned never to cross. The council expected fear. They expected excuses. They expected begging. Then the human ship appeared. At first, many thought it was a mistake. The ship was slow. Its shape was rough and outdated. The hull was dark, covered in old scars and repair marks. Its engines burned unevenly, leaving a messy trail of light behind it. Laughter spread across the command decks. Some officers leaned closer to their screens, zooming in, searching for hidden weapons or advanced systems. But the scans told the same story again and again. Weak shields. Old metal. Power levels far below modern standards. "This must be a joke," one commander said. Another shook his head. Did they send a training ship? The fleet channels filled with mocking comments. The image of the human ship was broadcast across nearby systems. News networks picked it up instantly. Aliens across the region watched in amusement as the so-called human response drifted into view. The human ship did not hurry. It did not take defensive positions. It simply moved forward, straight toward the waiting fleet. The alien council opened a public channel. Their leader smiled as he spoke, his voice calm and cruel. He welcomed the human ship and thanked them for bringing entertainment instead of resistance. There was no reply. More laughter followed. Some officers suggested destroying the ship immediately, just to end the embarrassment. Others wanted to wait. Let the humans feel the shame. Let the galaxy watch them fail. The human ship kept moving. It crossed distance that should have triggered automatic warnings. Still, it was allowed to pass. No alarms sounded. No weapons fired. The aliens felt no danger. Only curiosity. But then something strange happened. The scanners flickered. At first it was small. A brief error. A simple delay. Technicians blamed old equipment or background radiation. They reset their systems. The problem returned. The human ship was still visible to the eye, but the readings began to disagree. Its mass readings shifted. Its energy output dropped, then spiked, then disappeared entirely. One officer frowned. That's not possible. The commander ordered deeper scans. More power. More focus. The human ship slowed to a stop. Space around it seemed wrong. Not broken. Not damaged. Just quiet in a way that made the skin crawl. Even the laughter faded as officers leaned forward, their smiles slowly dying. The council leader demanded an answer. He warned the humans one final time to retreat or face destruction. Inside the human ship, no panic showed. The bridge was calm. The captain stood still, eyes forward. His crew moved with quiet purpose, shutting down systems one by one. Lights dimmed. Displays went dark. The ship looked even more helpless now. And yet, the alien scanners suddenly went blind. The ship was there, but not there. No signal. No clear outline. Just a shape that refused to be fully understood. The fleet fell silent. The planet below continued to spin peacefully, unaware that something ancient had just awakened above it. For the first time no one laughed. The alien fleet did not fire right away. Silence spread across command decks where jokes once echoed. Officers stared at their screens, confused and uneasy. The human ship remained in front of them, unmoving, dark, and quiet. It looked weak. It looked dead. And yet every sensor said something different. Some scanners showed nothing at all. Others showed impossible readings. Mass appeared and vanished. Energy spiked without a source. Space around the ship bent in small, strange ways, like heat above a burning road. Technicians worked faster. Voices rose. Orders overlapped. Reset the long-range scanners. Try visual tracking only. Focus on the engines. Nothing worked. The human ship was still visible with the naked eye, but machines could not agree on what it was seeing. One moment it seemed like empty space. The next it felt too heavy, as if it carried the weight of a moon. The alien council leader frowned. His earlier smile was gone. He ordered a warning shot, just one, aimed far from the ship. A simple message of control. The weapon fired. The energy beam crossed space, then bent. It did not explode. It did not deflect off shields. It simply curved away as if something invisible pushed it aside. The beam vanished into nothing, harmless and useless. A deep silence followed. That was when fear truly entered the room. The human ship began to change. Not in shape but in presence. The space around it darkened slightly, not with shadow but with something harder to explain. Like space itself was holding its breath. Below them the planet started to react. At first it was small. Cloud systems shifted without reason. Winds moved in strange patterns. Ocean waves rose and fell though there were no storms. Planetary stations sent confused reports. Gravity felt unstable. Tides were changing too fast. The alien scientists panicked. Their data showed forces at work that did not match any known weapon. No explosion. No radiation. Just pressure. Deep, silent pressure. The council leader opened a private channel to the human ship. His voice was tight now, controlled but no longer mocking. He demanded to know what the humans were doing. The reply finally came. It was calm. Almost gentle. "This ship is old," the human voice said. "It was built before we trusted speed and shine. It was built when survival mattered more than beauty." The channel closed. The human ship remained still, but something inside it awakened fully. Ancient systems, long forgotten by the galaxy, reached out into space. They did not attack. They did not target. They simply existed. The alien fleet tried to pull back. Engines flared. Jump drives charged. Nothing happened. Space refused to let them leave. Panic spread like fire. Officers shouted. Commanders lost control. Ships collided as formations broke apart. The planet below began to crack. Not explode. Not burn. Crack. Long lines spread across continents. Mountains folded inward. Cities vanished into the ground without fire or sound. Oceans pulled away from their shores, draining into massive openings in the crust. Billions of lives were ending, and there was no scream loud enough to hear in space. The human ship finally moved again. Just slightly. Enough to face the planet fully. The human captain spoke one last time, not to threaten, but to explain. "You laughed because it looked weak," he said. "You forgot that old things survive for a reason." A low pulse spread outward. The planet vanished. Where a living world once existed, there was nothing. No debris. No light. Just empty space. The alien fleet remained frozen, trapped, silent. And the humans had not even raised their voice. The empty space where the planet once existed felt wrong. Not destroyed. Not broken. Just gone. The stars behind it looked unchanged, yet every alien in the fleet knew reality itself had been wounded. No one spoke. Command bridges that once rang with orders were now silent. Officers stared at the black void, unable to understand what they had witnessed. Their minds searched for explosions, debris, shockwaves, anything familiar. There was nothing. The human ship hovered calmly where it had always been. Still old. Still scratched. Still quiet. The alien council leader finally broke the silence. His voice trembled as he demanded all ships fire at once. Fear had replaced pride. Survival was all that mattered now. Weapons charged across the fleet. Thousands of cannons locked onto the human ship. Energy built up, bright and violent. They fired. Space filled with light. Enough power to burn suns. Enough force to tear fleets apart. The attacks reached the human ship, and vanished. Not blocked. Not absorbed. They simply stopped existing. The weapon systems failed immediately after. Circuits burned. Controls went dead. Some ships lost all power and drifted helplessly. The human ship did not move. Inside it, the captain watched calmly. His crew showed no excitement. This was not victory to them. It was history repeating itself. The captain remembered the old records. The wars humans almost lost. The weapons they built when they had no allies and no mercy waiting for them. These ships were never meant to conquer. They were meant to end threats completely. The alien fleet tried again to escape. Jump drives screamed as they overloaded. Engines tore themselves apart trying to break free. Space refused. Felt thick. Heavy. Like trying to swim through stone. Some alien officers fell to the floor as gravity shifted inside their ships. Others screamed as their senses failed. Time itself felt uneven, slow in one moment, crushing in the next. The human ship finally sent another message. "You are not being attacked," the human voice said. "You are being held." The words were simple. The meaning was terrifying. The aliens realized then that the planet was not destroyed in anger. It was erased as a warning. A demonstration so clear that no translation was needed. The human ship turned slightly, facing the fleet fully now. Scanners briefly returned, just long enough to show something impossible. The ship was not alone. Layers of folded space surrounded it, like shadows of ships that did not fully exist. Old human technology worked by rules that were never shared with the galaxy. It did not travel through space. It folded space into obedience. The council leader begged. Pride collapsed completely. He offered peace, resources, apologies, anything. The human captain listened in silence. Then he replied. "We warned you," he said. "You laughed." The grip around the fleet tightened. Not crushing. Not violent. Just enough to remind them how helpless they were. The human ship powered down some systems. Space slowly loosened its hold. A few ships regained control. Enough to understand the mercy being given. "You will leave," the human said. "You will never return. You will tell the truth." The human ship turned away. The alien fleet was released. Engines roared in panic as ships fled in every direction. No formation. No order. Only fear. Behind them, the human ship remained alone in the void where a planet once lived. Still old. Still quiet. Still watching. And across the galaxy, one truth began to spread faster than light. Humans were never weak. They were patient. The alien fleet fled in chaos. Ships jumped the moment their engines allowed it. Some tore themselves apart trying to escape faster. Others vanished into hyperspace without coordinates, willing to risk death rather than stay another second near the human ship. Only a few vessels remained long enough to watch. They saw the human ship drift slowly through the empty space where the planet once was. It did not celebrate. It did not chase. It moved like a guardian finishing a long and unwanted duty. Inside the fleeing ships, panic ruled. Commanders screamed orders that no one followed. Crews argued, cried, and prayed to old gods that had never answered before. Every sensor officer replayed the recordings again and again, hoping to find a mistake. There was none. The galaxy's greatest fleets had failed without a fight. At the center of it all was one old human ship. When the surviving ships reached safe systems, emergency councils formed immediately. Messages spread across the stars. Allies demanded explanations. Rivals demanded proof. No one wanted to believe the truth. They were shown the recordings. Laughter at the beginning. Confusion in the middle. Silence at the end. The moment the planet vanished became the most replayed image in known space. Scholars froze it frame by frame. Scientists argued for weeks and learned nothing. There was no explosion. No energy wave. No trace of force. One respected scientist finally said the words no one wanted to hear. "This was not a weapon," he said. "This was a rule." The human ship had not fired something. It had changed something. It told space how to behave and space obeyed. Old human data began to surface. Long-hidden records from early human wars leaked into alien networks. They spoke of a time when humans fought enemies far stronger than themselves. Faster ships. Brighter weapons. Smarter machines. Humans survived by going backward. They stopped chasing speed. They stopped trusting complexity. They built machines that did not ask permission from physics. Those ships were sealed away when peace came. Too dangerous. Too final. Too easy to misuse. The one now seen was not special. It was only still active. As this truth spread, alien civilizations panicked. Borders were redrawn overnight. Fleets were recalled. Ancient treaties were suddenly honored without argument. No one wanted to be next. The human ship, meanwhile, continued its patrol. It did not return home. It did not send victory messages. It followed a quiet path through deep space, scanning regions no one else watched. Inside, the captain read reports of the galaxy's reaction. Fear. Respect. Confusion. He felt no pride. He remembered why the ship existed. It was never meant to rule. Only to end threats that refused to listen. The crew spoke little. They had all seen what the ship could do. They understood the weight of each activation. Every time the system awakened, something in the universe was permanently changed. A junior officer finally asked the question everyone avoided. What if they come back? The captain answered without hesitation. They won't, he said. Why? Because laughter died out there, the captain replied. And fear remembers. Far behind them, across countless systems, alien children were taught new lessons in their academies. Human ships were no longer examples of weakness. Old human ships were not jokes. They were warnings. And in the darkest corners of space, whispers began to spread. If humans ever truly went to war again, the galaxy would not survive the lesson twice. Time passed, but the fear did not fade. Across the galaxy, the story of the old human ship spread faster than any official message. It was told in council halls, military academies, and quiet private rooms where leaders made hard choices. The story always began the same way. They laughed. They laughed at the weak hull. They laughed at the slow engines. They laughed at a ship that looked like it belonged to the past. But the ending was never laughed at. The erased planet became a forbidden subject. Star charts were changed. The system was left unnamed, marked only by warning symbols. Pilots refused to pass through the region even years later. No one trusted the silence there. Alien fleets changed their designs. New ships were built with stronger shields and faster engines, but none of that brought comfort. Speed and power no longer felt safe. Because none of it mattered. Old human ships had shown that victory did not come from being better. It came from being final. In human space there were no celebrations. No monuments were raised. The event was not used for pride or threats. It was filed away as another incident that never should have happened. The human ship continued its patrol, alone and unmarked. It never entered friendly ports. It never joined fleets. It existed between stars, watching places where danger might grow. Inside, the crew aged quietly. Some retired. Others took their place. The ship remained the same. Scarred. Functional. Patient. Once, years later, a young alien diplomat requested a meeting with the captain. The request passed through many hands before it was approved. The meeting took place in open space with no weapons active on either side. The diplomat did not mock. He did not threaten. He bowed. "Why show us?" he asked. "Why not destroy us all?" The captain looked at the stars before answering. "Because we remember being small," he said. "We remember being laughed at." The diplomat lowered his head. He understood then that the planet had not been erased out of hatred. It had been erased to end a pattern. No one laughed at humans again. Not when human ships passed borders. Not when human diplomats spoke. Not even when humans were quiet. Silence became respect. Generations later, the story was still taught. Not as a battle but as a warning. Teachers ended the lesson the same way every time. The galaxy survived, they said, because humans chose restraint. And somewhere far beyond trade routes and borders, the old human ship finally powered down. Its systems cooled. Its mission was complete. The galaxy had learned. Laughter had consequences.